everybody? How you doing? This is Robert Rivera with Who's On First, the show. And today for you, I got Brian Collins. He's with a company called Portolite, and he's going to talk to us about pitcher's mound. He's got batting rugs. There's the whole kind of great technology that's coming out from this company. So Brian, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Robert, for just having me on. It's really cool to just come on this platform and really kind of talk about Portolite and just really the exciting things going on. So just to kind of delve right into it, just to give a small background of what Portolite is, how we came to be, where we're at now. We're located in Winsted, Minnesota. So everything that we make is out of the warehouses that we have in Winsted. But initially back in about, gosh, I would say, I think it's about like I was saying back in like 1988, the initial starter of the company, his name was Mike Hoppy. He was kind of a southpaw pitcher, kind of for what was, I believe, called the Hamel Hawks. And during kind of the various seasons here in Minnesota, it's kind of hard to continually practice as time goes on in different seasons. So when he started to really find that there were no practical portable solutions for having mounds on the go, or at least having them available for when you need to move it out of winter weather into summer weather, he wanted to come up with his own solution, which thus then became Portolite pitching mounds. And started back in 1992, has now grown. I believe back in 2020 was when the son of the owner, Chad Hoppy, took over and really has grown the business into what it is now. So what we tend to do as a company, and our mission really is to provide a lightweight, portable solution for baseball players and softball players alike, to be able to really bring the game with them wherever they go, but then also to provide them with a mound that's not only portable but durable. Which is why all of our mounds have a 10-year warranty on them, which is really just a testament really to the integrity of the mound itself and the process of building it. And now we're expanding into field accessories and softball even more, and couldn't be more excited about it.
All right, as everybody can see here, I'm going to slide aside there a little bit. And so talk to me about this pitcher's mound that you have here.
Absolutely. So what you're seeing behind you right there is what would be called our 10-inch game mound. Now, all of these mounds that we make, a really cool part about Portolite versus really any other mound on the market there is every single mound that's made is handcrafted. So like it's made with every single hand of our crew, from the high density foam in the middle of the mound, the light fiber board that's added right after that high density foam, and then we have 3 layers of polyurea. So that would be polystyrene, polypropylene, and I believe I used to have it off the top of my head, and now it's fading me, but yeah, right, exactly. And so really that ultimate spray over the initial high density foam and fiberglass board really is what causes that integrity of that mount to stay sound. So what that does is it creates a water resistant coat. So if you leave it out, let's say in rainy weather or just inclement weather in general, it's not going to ruin the integrity of that mount. But then on top of that, I mean, a lot of mounts that you'll get, I mean, that have really thick wood and different materials on it may weigh upwards of, 400 or 500 pounds, and this mount in particular is only about 220. And that's one of our biggest mounts that we have. So it's, you get down to, let's say, a 6-inch mound, and now you're talking about maybe ages 13 and under. And that is only 120 pounds, maybe 140, so really the cool part about like the mound that you have in the background there is the fact that what you see there is really fine-tuned and crafted by our entire team at the warehouse, which is just such a cool process to, one, be a part of, but then see that final product that you got right back there.
Okay. Now, not only do you have mounds, but you're saying something about the batting mats?
Yeah, so that's the really exciting thing. So kind of almost a division of what we have, which is also available for our mounds now, is called Spike Tech. Now, this was a mold technology that basically we crafted for the bottom of our field accessories and our softball mats. So those spikes that are added to the bottom of our half batters mats, our full batters mats, on deck circles, softball mats, what it does is it takes the bottom of the mat, instead of just laying it on a field and using it, it's gripping the field in order to provide you with a real game-like feel. It doesn't slip, slide, or bunch underneath you when you're practicing or during the game. But then on top of that, I mean, for us, that slip, sliding, and bunching really came into play as a big value for us, because we wanted to make sure that players were safe on any of the products that we use and in the game in general. But then on top of that, we have maintenance workers that spend a lot of their time, and a lot of cost just getting these fields prepared, even in between practices. So, I've seen plenty of kids who are like younger kids that they see the older players. And I think what I see most is they'll see them like kind of line up, and then they really dig that foot in, with their metal cleat.
Right,
And at this point, they've been digging for about 15 seconds. You're like, you're in, but
right.
they're just doing it because that's what they know. And then what that ends up doing is that kind of ruins that part of the field or that part of the batter's box. And now you're frantically trying to get that fixed, tampering the field just to get it ready. So then what these mats do is that allows you to, really lay them down whatever field, turf, grass, dirt, be able to practice, be able to really get your reps in. And then once that's ready to go, roll it up, take it on with you. Most of them weigh, on average, I would say about 50 pounds when rolled up. So you can just toss it over the shoulder and go. But then that causes you to get to what matters most, which is us playing this game that we all love. So
Okay. So I mean, not only are you worried about the safety, but I mean the fields. You're helping the fields not get damaged on top of it. And
yeah, that's
I'm sure my buddy Mr. Peeler, who was the head grounds crew for the Atlanta Braves, I'm sure he would love that because he was very touchy about his fields.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. And I mean, we work with a ton of like facilities and parks and rec groups. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the experience of the players. But in order to create that consistent experience for the players, you got to provide them with an environment that's also consistent. And so that's what we're trying to do with these mats and that technology, is to make sure that when we're using this stuff on these surfaces, we're protecting those surfaces for the longevity of the players and of the game. So that's really kind of the hope for us.
Okay, so I mean, what's the feedback that you're getting from these mounds? I mean, what was anybody saying?
Yeah, so I mean, we've had amazing feedback from, going to a lot of trade shows like the NPRA and the ABCA shows, a lot of like Texas coaching shows that we've had down in Dallas and Houston. And really what we've noticed, and I've loved the duality of this, is you'll have people who are passive players that will come by and they'll see it, and their reaction is like, oh, that's pretty cool, that's, oh, I mean, it's just kind of this like, oh, never thought about that sort of thing. But then when you really get to the people who understand what this technology can do and what it can provide for those facilities, so you get like directors, like say groundskeepers, really program directors that will come up and look at this and they'll go, oh, I didn't even know that was out there. Like, it's something that we're excited to get out there, because what we notice is the people who really understand what this can do for their facilities and their fields, they look at it and they get so excited and go like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this hasn't happened before. So for us to feel like we're on the forefront of providing this for really the game in general, it's exciting to see where we can still go, whether that be, lacrosse mats, whether that, we got catcher's mats that we're making. We've got, various, ways that we can apply this technology to products that we're still up and coming and making, that can really just provide value upon value to these teams. So really the feedback has been amazing. And we're really, I think, hoping for that when we get more and more of the spike tech out, that we just hear back from these teams and just hear that feedback even more, so we can fine tune it to make it as best we can. So
All right. So what are some of the facilities, like any team in the MLB or anybody
yeah.
looking at you guys right now?
Yeah, so we've got like colleges like USC, we've got USA softball that we're now going to be a sponsor of again for the next year as well. So we're working on the contract again for that. We've got I believe it's called 3-2 Fields in Kansas, which is this huge facility in Kansas. It spans from right here in Minnesota, like we have Mash Baseball that's just opened up a new facility in Savage, which is one of the best facilities here in Minnesota. So we provided a ton of mounds and softball mats and other mats to that facility. But then it expands out all the way to, I know this past year we sent multiple mounds to Japan, and then now we've been more so stretching into Canada and going into other various countries. That is really just showing kind of how it translates across just this country, but the game in general, like they understand how important it is, and so we've really just been going everywhere from a little league in Iowa to a fastball group in Washington, and I mean really I can think of a bunch of random names off the top of my head,
Yeah.
from the city of Iowa, Council Bluffs in Iowa to, we've got this big Parks and Rec group in Greenwood that has loved the products that we sent. So it's just seeing that effect reach out globally. So it's fantastic.
Okay, well, let's get to the bottom line now. What's the price?
Yeah. So what you'll find is Portolite's price in comparison to other mounds that you might find on the market does have a higher price range or a higher price value to it. And part of the reason for that is the one, like I said, the handcrafted method that we take towards these mounds, but then the integrity of the mound. So if we know that the mound itself is going to last 10 years, which is why we have that warranty on the mound, we know that product that, let's say, for example, that 10-inch mound that you have behind you is probably our one of our most expensive products that we have, which tends to range about $4,000. And so right away, when like a lot of, I know, high schools or some facilities see it and they like hear that price, some of them go like, oh yeah, no, that's a budget, exactly. And I don't I don't fault them for that, because I understand that price can sometimes feel like something like you need to swallow. But at the end of the day, when we've seen through the last, I mean, let's say 10 years alone, of how many mounds that we've sent out to different facilities and parks and rec groups that they're still using it to this day, that value of return on investment from year after year of not having to feel like you got to buy a new mound because this one's now not good, or like, that, it's now diminished because of the weather that's, they've left it out on the field, for season after season, that we don't get really many people coming back to us wanting to, get rid of the old mound that they have. It's wild to me sometimes to get pictures from people who have ordered from, let's say, 8 years ago. And they're like, hey guys, we want to order one more. Here's the mound that we still have. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because you can see the design change from the years, of how it's kind of slowly adapted. But when you come down to, let's say, a level where we're not at that 10-inch mound, which I would say is for like varsity level players, right? You get an 8-inch mound, which would be like what I would consider to be a transitional mound. So you think maybe 13 to 16 or 17 years old, people are kind of now hitting that stage where they're starting to grow, a little bit, a couple inches every single year. And, it's just kind of that odd transition.
Right.
But then you have our 6-inch mounds that are, more based towards the youth program, which I would say that's really our bread and butter, is the youth. So when you think like 13 and under, or just around that 13-year-old range, those 6-inch mounds are, I want to say, again, off the top of my head, I believe that they're $18.99 for the 6-inch mound.
Okay.
But then we also provide an option of practice mounds as well, which tend to be about $1,500. And those practice mounds and regular mounds are available in 1 and 2 pieces. So if you think of like a young team that has a mound that they have to consistently take it off the field and bring it to the shed or bring it to wherever they have it, we're one of the only mound companies that provide that option. And really, the price is basically the same between the 1 piece or 2 piece. It's a matter of preference of how frequently you're believing that you're going to need to store it or move it. So it kind of really lends itself to that portability side.
Okay. So I mean, you know what I'm thinking, I have a spot, maybe you guys haven't touched, maybe like these indoor batting cages that are popping up all over Florida. Get that nice little mat, you got that nice little cushion there, because those cement floors, and you're hitting, boy, you take a little bit of a pounding. So
Yeah,
that's
and I'll say too, like, I mean, to that point, like on the inside, right? Like, so we've got spike tech for like the fields, right? So when we take those spikes out, because obviously you're not going to have those on like a hard surface in
Right.
the indoor, right? It's like, but you know, a lot of people who have those mats, then you still find that slipping then if you don't have anything to grip it. So we now have a solution for that. That's basically called a anti-friction mat, or a indoor friction mat is what I should say. And what that is basically it's a square foot basically polymer that we put together that you can order in addition to the mat if you know it's going to be indoors, or a mound that's going to be indoors. You lay that on the bottom of that surface and put the mound or mat on top, and that thing is not moving. So like you said, like you've got all these like hitting facilities that are coming up, and they're all indoors. Like that's at least then providing the solution for that side of the game. So
Okay. All right. So I mean, I'm interested. I wanna go. Where do I go? What do I punch in?
yeah, no, it's we try to keep it simple. We're Portolite, it's portolite.com, you know, and so Portolite is Portolite. And when you go on our site, you'll see that we have an amazing site put together by one of our members, Joa, that has been working with us for a few years now. She's done an incredible job with that site and really making it integrated to make it user friendly. When you get on there, there are informational pages that talk about our spike tech, and talk about what we're currently working on, which I haven't even mentioned yet, but is super exciting. And it's basically a turf replacement system. So we're working in conjunction with the Perfect Mound to kind of work with the technology that they've been crafting. And really what it is it's when it comes to the mound, right? We have that 10-year warranty, but the only thing that, you know, a lot of mound companies can't do is they can't really offer any sort of warranty or, when it comes to turf. You know, because let's say you have a really intense season, and after that full season, that landing spot or that pickup zone is completely worn out, right? And you're like, man, I mean, we really got to change this up. And initially, what we would do is we would send what would be called the turf repair kit, which would send you basically a 4x2 piece of turf. With some adhesive, we kind of work with you to show you how to like kind of sheep shear a piece of it off, get a new set in there, and you're good. Now that still is, you know, timely. There's some maintenance when it comes to that. You know, it's like, you know, we're trying to still figure out what that solution would be. And now we're kind of slowly implementing this turf replacement system, which in now, if let's say at the end of 2 seasons, you see those zones are worn out and you don't really want to go through the process of trying to manually do that. And like really, you know, it doesn't always look good if you're not somebody who knows how to do it.
All right.
So now what the system does is you, let's say after a year, say, I need a replacement for my 6-inch mound. Now you just order the top turf instead of ordering, you know, a new mound or someone to, you know, maintenance to take care of it. You literally can take the turf right off with this. Basically, it's almost like if you think like a 3M Velcro sort of thing.
Okay.
You can rip that right off, put that new turf on, and you're good to go in a matter of seconds.
Wow.
So
Okay.
so that's something that we haven't promoted like crazy yet, because we're in the stages of we've sold, let's say, few dozen of these mounds out there, because we kind of want to make sure that the way that we've built it is sound, that every mound that you get, even though it's handcrafted, it's going to be basically the same mound, you know, which is pretty wild when you look at the process of making these, because like I said, the team that we have doing this on a day-to-day basis takes such care of knowing that when this hits the field, that's a representation of not only Portolite but their own work. And you know, when they feel one with Portolite, then that just shows within the product. So that's just a real side thing I wanted to mention when it came to what we were talking about. But just to kind of get back on track, yeah, our website is a fantastic place to find all these products and find more information on some of the really awesome craftsmanship that goes into every mound. And then really we work with a lot of dealers, you know, throughout the country. So if you're in an area that you have something like a, you know, Sports Inc., Play It Again Sports, you know, Dick's Sporting Goods, you know, there are a lot of people that we have across the country that proudly carry the name.
You know what I was thinking? I'm thinking the movie Brewster's Million. I don't know.
Mhm.
Right, okay. I remember him having a mound inside the hotel, and he was pitching off that mound. And I'm thinking, wow, this would be a great product to do that today. You know, hey, I
Yeah,
get
oh, no doubt.
I get you a mound, and we're gonna put it in the presidential suite, and you're gonna pitch from the dining room into the living room, and we're gonna have a good game of catch.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. And you know what's funny is we've been working with a group called Strategy Red Sports. They kind of help with some of the videos that we put together and really get the brand awareness really out there as well. And what I did for them when we did the initial shoot, we did a shoot in Manhattan that was with New York Empire Baseball, a guy named Jordan Baltimore that was there, and and we shot something there, and I thought, man, this was such a cool experience, and the people we were working with were just such great individuals that I thought I'd mock something up for them. So when you said that movie, it just kind of made me think of it because I made a fake movie poster that was called the Mound of Dreams, so like Field of Dreams, but like just a play on it, and then had a whole fake movie poster I made, sent it to them, and one of the movie posters had their guy in it because it was just a random picture that I had taken during our photo shoot, and really kind of made him the star of that poster. And now they're basically wanting to put it on their wall and having us like, hey, look, we got a star here working on these mounds. So
Yeah.
yeah.
There's so much technology and there's so much stuff coming out. To see something like this, I mean, we're talking about bats with axe handles. You're talking
Mhm.
about bats that have a flat side, that the oven mitt that everybody all of a sudden fell in love with. Nobody can slide into bases anymore without the oven mitt on.
All right.
I mean, there's so much stuff out there, and I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I'm like, man, when I was a kid, where was all this stuff? Because it wasn't non-existent. You got cleats that go into spikes, that go into cleats, that go into turf. They unscrew it, they put it on, and now they can take the sneakers. The MLB guys, they take a pair of Air Ones, they send it to this company. The company rips the sole off, puts spikes on it, and they're playing in a pair of Air Ones. And I'm like, what? What?
Mhm.
You could
It
do
used to
all
be
this.
it used to be so much like it's about who you know, right? Like it's always like, hey, I know this guy over here that does this, and then that's how you figured it out. And now it's just such an accessibility thing. I mean, we're just in such of an information age that it's now all these secrets that were out there that like, hey, did you hear this guy's got a mound that is only weighs as much and they do this, but they use it. It's like now they can just go on and find for themselves, but still it's a matter of if they don't hear the name initially, how are they ever going to know? Man,
So
you're just gonna get my brain going because I'm starting to think of somebody who's like, they're like, hey, you got to be ready at all times, right? So you have an alarm clock where when it goes off, it goes and on the third one a ball gets shot and you have to be able to catch it. Like, if that doesn't wake you up in the morning, I don't know what will. So yeah.
I have my mask. I'll probably sleep with my mask on. Yeah, I've gotten hit a couple times, so I'd be all right. Well, all
Gotcha.
right, man. I appreciate you being on, Brian. It's amazing stuff. Guys, go out there, take a look. If you guys want to take a look at the website, it's Portolite, and they got the new spike technology, a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure we got football fields that'll probably be next, and some lacrosse fields, and hockey, soccer. You never know. Maybe we'll have ice spikes and spike them down in the grass in Minnesota. And there you go, Minnesota. You can spike them down in the backyard.
Hey, there we go. Hey, we're ready.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Thank you for being on. I appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you. And remember, guys, as we always say here on Who's On First, keep swinging.
If you like the show, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Right. You see it? It's right there. Subscribe, share, like, and don't forget, put that bell on. It'll ding you when I put something else on, all right?